Hello everyone, this is Jamie from A Journey with Wings. I'm the pilot that does the scattering of cremated remains by airplane. And today I wanted to talk to you about how to scatter cremated remains from an airplane. That's the big question, the thing that everybody asks me. And it's a multifaceted question. I'm going to try to dive into it a little bit, but yet try to keep it as simple as possible. So the first thing we need to talk about is the legality. Is it legal to scatter cremated remains from an airplane? And the FAA has deemed that yes, it is. First, we turned to 91.15 that you can drop anything from an aircraft that doesn't harm anybody on the ground. And there's been some legal interpretations that I'll have in the link below that when they specifically mention cremated remains. It's not in the FARs, but it is in some of the legal interpretations. So we know that that is safe. The other thing is how to scatter cremated remains. You need to look at your state laws, right? So every state has their own interpretation. So you definitely would need to know where your state stands on scattering cremated remains as far as location. So yes, we know we can do it, but we need to know also the location where we're scattering, is it legal? Now I'm based in Southern California. And Southern California, we have to abide by California law, and California law is we actually have to have a cremated remains disposer license. And we also have to have written permission from the landowner or governing agency for where we're going to be doing the scattering. So whether that's like a state park or national park, they want to see written permission. So that's also something you have to keep in mind. I'd hate to teach you how to do a scattering and you do it safely, but not legally. Okay, so we need to look at doing it safely and legally. And then the next thing about scattering cremated remains by airplane is really, how do you do it? So every aircraft is different, right? Like a Cessna would be different than a Cherokee as far as how you would release the cremated remains. But one thing they have in common is every aircraft has wind that goes around the aircraft as well as a slipstream. So it is very important that you get the cremated remains past the slipstream, past the wind that's going around the aircraft. Okay, because what happens is if you do not, you will end up with those cremated remains back at you, inside your aircraft, or even on the side of your aircraft. And they're very coarse and they could actually remove some paint. So no matter what plane you're in, you need to keep in mind that you want to get those cremated remains out past that layer of wind, boundary layer, slipstream, all of that. You need to get it past that. So what I would recommend is you need to practice first, okay? And when I say practice, you're not gonna go out and practice with actual cremated remains, but you need to use something that has the same consistency of the cremated remains you are going to scatter. And when I say the cremated remains you are gonna scatter, that means that set that you actually have, because they come in various forms. So you can have a very light, like powder, or they can be very coarse, like kitty litter. And also, they are not ashes like you would find in a fireplace. Okay, so I'd look at something that's like powder or kitty litter. Find something in that same consistency, and then you need to practice with it. I'm going to have in the description below a link to the AOPA, Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, that gives hints on items or ways that you can do the scattering. Some involve rolling the cremated remains up in a bag and then releasing the bag that's tethered to a rope. That's one way of doing it. Others involve just slipping a tube outside the door or the window. But again, it really depends on the aircraft you are using. The best I can tell you is get it past the boundary layer, past the slipstream, and practice. Okay, if you have any specific questions, you can definitely call me. I also do have a consultation service where I can talk you through what the state laws are in your area, as well as I can work with you on what aircraft you have. If you have a high-wing Cessna, like I have, the consultation service also includes the scattering device. It's a patented device that I've developed for scattering the cremated remains. And if you do a consultation services using a high-wing Cessna, I will be happy to include that. Outside of that, I've done scatterings at other types of aircraft. It's different depending on what aircraft you have, but I can definitely work with you on what those options are. Okay, I hope that answers a lot of your questions. Again, I know there's no one size fits all answer, and I wish I could address that to you here in this, but it really is dependent on the aircraft you have. So if you have any questions, give me a call, send me an email, and that information's in the link below. Bye-bye.